Argus via that yellow tether you see is Hercules at the other end. And so that tether is a bit more malleable and gives it a bit of freedom. So Hercules can kind of fly around freely within the radius of that Argus provides.
It's going to strafe the gauge system.
Yes.
Oh, wait, till you're done with the route.
It's
yeah. So as far as holding position goes, that's kind of how this kind of work is possible. Is if you weren't able to hold a general station on at the top at the surface, then you'd have ROVs flying around into walls and stuff like that. So the way that we do it was we have a dynamic positioning system, which is a computer system that controls a jet pump in the aft of the ship and a bow thruster up in the bow. So we're able to hold our position based on GPS positioning.
I gotta keep moving anyway, so you can look at it.
Good.
And use those thrusters to stay on one spot. And if we're able to stay on one spot, we can also tell the ship to go in different directions. So that's what you hear me calling in moves in different bearings and different ranges, so distances and directions. And kind of positioning Argus where we want Hercules to end up. That's all informed by our mapping. So we have a multi-beam mapping system that we can collect information from, which is the current maps that we have that we're driving off of were collected by Nautilus. Yeah, and they create a bathymetric digital terrain model, which is kind of like just topography, but under the ocean. So.
Excellent, thank you so much for that. There's this great question here that I think it's a great question. It says, after doing this for a long time, what still takes your breath away in this kind of work?
Anybody got?
I would say just, every time we get into like a really spectacular garden of animals, like even when you've seen a bunch of them, when you come around a corner or like sweep the ROV camera down and suddenly there's just a big stand of diverse animals all over the place. It's always so neat to see.
Yeah, definitely the large corals and sponges, vast. You just knowing how many hundreds of years they must have been there existing to see that. And I think also to answer that question in an indirect way, I think sometimes you think about, oh, we're the first to see this certain location, this certain coral, that's been here for hundreds of years. But I think that the other way of thinking about it is that we're the first and last. Like, it's very likely that any particular region won't be visited again, just because of how much, these whole operations cost a lot, and they'd like to cover new ground. A lot of the ocean is unexplored. So revisiting is not always, conducive to progress and exploration. So
it can also be hard to find that same specific spot again.
Yeah, there's that as well.
For example, the piece of kelp that we flew by earlier.
So yeah, so it's kind of nice, and it's really nice that we can broadcast it all live and then have those archived so people can review and just see, something that has never been seen before and likely will not be seen again.
Yeah, I think there's something incredibly satisfying as well if there's a species that you've been reading about and you've seen like pictures or diagrams of. The first time you actually see it underwater on an ROV dive that's always like a hugely satisfying moment for me.
Even though I'm a coral biologist, I'm a real sucker for hydrothermal vent communities. So the live broadcasts that Nautilus does are always fantastic because I can follow along from my office and see those big smoker chimneys and all the worms.
Yeah.
Or the octocone and seeing all those brooding octopus. near Davidson Seamount. That was amazing to watch along. I was fixated to that one.
It's kind of incredible because that was a recent discovery. We found that, when was that, 2017 or 18?
2018.
2018.
Sometimes you get nice moments topside too, like I do. I love seeing, because you work strange kind of shift hours on the ship, on the research vessels. Usually, you tend to see a lot more sunrises and sunsets than perhaps on land. And some of those, I think, are pretty incredible when you're just out in the middle of the ocean. And yeah, those particular moments, especially if you've got like seabirds or marine mammals around the ship, are pretty special.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 360 sunsets, pretty nice.
Ooh. I just put up on satellite 3 the ROV navigation computer. It gives you a good idea of how the three pieces move together with Nautilus, Argus, and Hercules. With yellow being Hercules and purple being Argus.
Yep, I think this kind of exploration sort of pushes the technologies. I was at a conference where there was a session, and it was a breakout session talking about exploration of other planets. But a lot of the things that they were kind of talking about using there, it was kind of technologies, AUVs and ROVs that were kind of have been developed here to explore underwater environments. So it pushes the technology, but also the number of new species and potential for new discoveries is pretty high, because we know so little. From some collections in 2017 we did off the coast of Washington of some sponges, of 12 different types of sponge that we looked at in detail. 4 of those are potentially new species. So I would say that's kind of important, just that they have value just inherently. But then we also know that some of these species will have biomedical potential. There's a sponge that a lot of sponges actually have interesting secondary metabolites, and there's one of these deeper species that was first discovered north of here, a Lashranculia species that has very interesting properties and is being developed into anti-pancreatic cancer drugs. So yeah, they can have kind of very tangible benefits for people as well.
I'm sorry, I was in the science chat. Can you repeat what the question was? I was giving instructions for the next watch. Mm-hmm.
I know I've got a few papers.
I'd say if you just Google sponge and cancer drug, I think there's a great hit that comes up that goes over the Lashranculia.
Meredith, I think you're off of SPO.
I shouldn't be, but I'll restart.
I know you have a
Oh,
watch
Tom's
shift coming up pretty soon, so
okay.
I'll maybe ask one more question, if that's okay, and then I know you have a lot of work to do to transfer between watches, so I don't want to interrupt that. So there's a question about, is it surprising to see so many deep sea corals on this expedition?
I don't know about surprising. We do expect to see them in areas where we have a lot more hard bottom habitat. So I don't know if I'm surprised that we're not seeing more here, just because there's so much sediment around, even in the rocks, that it can interfere with their growth. But the yeah, in a lot of these deep areas, wherever you have hard bottom, we do expect to encounter them. It's always nice and striking when we encounter larger and more diverse communities of them. And one of the goals of some of these surveys is to try and figure out why those communities grow where they do, and why we don't encounter them in other areas. We really don't know the kind of underlying driving forces that well of why you'll get these really big communities in some areas but not in others. Nice wall.
Thank
here.
you so much. There's just a lot of people expressing gratitude for you taking the time to answer questions, and I really appreciate you sharing your knowledge with all of our viewers. So thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you, and we're going to be handing over here. So thanks, everyone. Thanks, Meredith and Abby.
Thank you.
Well.
Yeah,
Jake's
thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for the samples.
Yep.
Thanks for the questions, everyone.
Yeah, thanks, Laura.
Dan signing off. Thanks, everyone.
Yep, thanks, Dan.
Bye, Dan.
And I think Tom and Erica are waiting in the wings. So I'm going to go ahead and jump off SPL so that Tom can jump on.
Hey, this is Tom. I'm on.
Hey Tom, how's it going?
And Lizzie, you can jump on if you want.
All right. Hello, folks.
Hello.
Hey, is the science on shore there?
This is Side 2 checking in.
Oh, hey. Yeah, so from my understanding, we should just kind of continue going due west to maximize our time on these slopey, rocky features. And then we're going to head up to that target BH. And then it's basically a matter of how quickly you guys want to head up slope. But it shouldn't make too much of a difference time-wise if we just kind of keep due west till we're kind of below that BH target, and we can just start heading up to the cliff at the summit.
Okay, sounds like, or I just got a note that Lizzie's going to jump on here
Roger.
in a few minutes and update the dive timeline and compressing waypoints. So then we'll know more.
Okay.
Yeah, but I agree with your plan because that's what we talked about with Meredith and Lizzie on the chat.
Okay, cool. Maybe we'll get some new targets in. And
Yeah, maybe she'll put something
Hey
in.
there. Is there a contour map on there?
yeah, there's a contour map. So, yeah, I'm just going to do another step towards you, Jess.
Oh,
Okay.
the same west move?
Yeah, I'll just do 40 meters at a time west.
Okay. Try and zoom in there on the
And
contour
we
map
have
in
a
process.
and we have a slick head in the camera right now.
Oh, neat.
Yeah.
Hey, so Lizzie's on. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes.
Awesome. Perfect. So the new plan is to pull one watch shift earlier than originally in the dive plan. So the ROV should be on deck at midnight. I just sent Nicole this email, so we're still getting this set up to
Okay,
be
so is
so.
it that target BJ1 that should be removed?
And well, essentially and BI. So we've not been making super quick progress, which is totally fine. So I want to give us plenty of time to explore these steeper slopes. And I was looking at the BH waypoint and the one following that as
the
pretty much going to be our guiding points. So I think, yeah, if you could zoom out a little bit
Yeah,
on
I see.
HiPAC.
So so this red, so right now I have the slope map up. So it looks like that red cliff right under the summit, that's under BI and above BH. That's kind of the priority to spend time on.
Yeah, we would like to get there, and then depending on what that looks like, also the lip, because there should be hard habitat just above that, so the ledge, I suppose.
Okay. Can show you the backscatter too.
That
Yeah,
So do
so
we
right
wanna
around
go-
BI, it's looks
Go ahead,
rocky in
sorry.
the backscatter.
Okay. So we may not get that far depending on how interesting that really high slope area is, because we could laterally transit along that area of red really high slope. Or if that's not super interesting, we can just, instead of laterally moving along it, we can just diagonal over straight to that hard bottom part northeast of BI, since that would be the fastest route. Because we'll have about 7 hours now, because I'm guessing it'll take maybe an hour to ascend. So effective bottom time. Oh no, not up there.
Yeah, I'm trying to
Just
think.
above BI.
Yeah, above BI, it's going to be, let's see the target. It's going to be, yeah, like 600 to 550 meters. So I think the ascent for that is going to just be 40 minutes maybe, plus 15 minutes for on deck for recovering the vehicles. So I just want to confirm. Right now we're going due west on this slopey feature that we're right on right now, and then we can just head up to maybe just go kind of due north right to that red steepest cliff right above us and below BI, and then just kind of keep along that. But that target you were saying that is above that may be rocky. I'm not entirely. Are you looking at the part of the backscatter below the BKI target or BK1?
No, I think we're going to cut the last two waypoints altogether.
Okay.
Honestly, I just don't think we'll have time to get there.
So we can
I'm hoping we'll.
Yeah, so if that sounds good, we can just keep going west, go north to that summit in the red, and then just keep the RV really close to the summit and travel west under BI and then kind of go from there.
Yeah, and then maybe head up to BI because that looks like it could be somewhat of a hard return.
Cool, yeah,
in and around above BI.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, so that's our new general plan. I don't know if you want to drop new targets or if you can delete the other ones. Or I guess we'll just communicate this to the next watch. I'm on the next watch.
Yeah, so I mean, it's very easy to just say ignore those two targets and prioritize this area.
Okay,
yeah,
excellent.
so I think we're good. So thanks.
Yeah, so in terms of proceeding, depending on how interesting even this yellow habitat is, we can just diagonal up to that steepest slope, kind of just above where your mouse is, Or we can follow the yellow west until we're under BH and just head straight north.
Yeah.
So we can either make the L shape if this yellow patch is super interesting and then head up north, or if it's not so great, we can just diagonal straight over to save time.
Okay.
What's the time difference?
Yeah, I'm just trying to calculate that. So if I were to just diagonal north right now, let's say what I have in high pack right now, it would be about 800 meters, and going kind of due west to where I am right now is about 550. Then north is another 550. So 1100 versus 800. So just a difference of 300 meters, which might be like 30 minutes. Just going to check that.
One, we also have to consider the visual contact and things. So if we go diagonal, you might not get in a full seafloor. And also note that for the diagonal move, we're going to go slower for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think the plan of keeping to the west, yep.
Roger that.
Okay.
But if we run out of any kind of hard substrate, then we can just shoot up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, just go straight north. Even if you're not quite under that reddest part yet, you'll be able to hopefully go along that depth contour laterally and run into it eventually.
Yeah, because we're going up about, what, 300, 350 meters up?
Yeah, we're going to go up about more like 500 meters or 600 meters.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it'll be a different assemblage by then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, if you want to keep west for a little, and then whenever you guys feel like, if it's not interesting, we can just go due north. Going up slope will be speedy for us. So.
Okay.
Does that sound good?
Yeah,
sounds good to me.
Okay.
I trust you all, and we're in good hands. So cool. Thanks. I'm gonna jump off the link.
Cool.
And have a great dive.
I'm gonna keep them.
Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, thanks.
All right, so we'll head west, young man. Starting off with corny jokes already.
Like, what is that, Steinbeck?
Twain? I don't know, somebody.
Someone like, some Americana.
I have this nice computer in front of me. I can look it up.
That's the valuable thing to look up. Okay.
Oh, it's Horace Greeley.
Oh. Our interpretation was much simpler.
Yeah. Horace and I aren't as good friends as Mark Twain and I, so. So once we are all set and everybody's ready and whatnot, we will attempt to do a transect to start this watch.
Roger that.
Yeah.
Honestly, we can start anytime.
Yeah, we're in good position here.
All right. Then whenever the ship moves going and we're going, we'll start the transect.
Roger that.
Start the transect right when the mud's gone, or when the mud comes back.
Yeah, right.
Oh yeah. Makes the county easier.
Yes, it does.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sea cucumbers. So are the kind of transparent ones and the purple ones different species?
I think they're the same species, but I don't know. Erica, do you know?
All right, let's mark this transect. I think we're good. So this is...
I think they're the same also.
Oh, yeah?
Either the Panicia, I think they're Panicia, both Panicia.
All right, starting our big move.
Sounds good. Oh, we got a ledge back too, so that's good.
Data, would you do me a huge favor and put a time in that line in the chat when you write the start transect?
Yeah, sure. Sorry.
That would be awesome. Thank you. Just so we all match.
So we're on transect now.
Yep.
And there's just a few little rocks.
Yeah, Mary, I marked
Covered.
target at 2311. That sounds like it matches Erica's. 2311, 24.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Okay.
No problem.
So since there's not much to count right now, do we want to go through and do introductions for this watch?
Yeah, go ahead. Start on shore. How about that?
Yeah, we'll start out here. So hi, we're on Two Scientists Ashore here, and I'm Tom Leidig. I work for the National Marine Fisheries Service in Santa Cruz. I study deep sea corals, fishes, sponges, all manner of assemblages down here deep. And my regular job, I said, would be in Santa Cruz, but like everybody else, I'm working from home right now. So I'll pass it on to Erica.
Hello, I am Erica Frew. I work for the Northwest Fisheries Science Center for NOAA, and I am part of the AUV team up there. And we use an autonomous robot to collect imagery of the seafloor, and I'm basically the biologist in with a bunch of engineers, and I am able to hopefully identify the stuff that's in the images we collect.
Thanks. Yeah, and I'm Ben Grassian. I'm a navigator and mapper aboard the Nautilus.
I'm Jess Sandoval, part of the ROV team, Sid Herc.
Kim Wallace, part of the ROV team, sitting Argus.
I'm Marley Parker, one of the video engineers on board.
I'm Mary Dury, and I'm the data logger.
And we are the A team.
Oh, definitely.
4 to 8.
Well, we're the A
Great.
team when we have the mics. So the little redfish are most probably long spine thorny heads. They can grow to be about 40 centimeters. The two lasers in the middle are the two yellow or green dots are laser points. They're 10 centimeters apart. That helps us measure things on the bottom. Was that fishing line on that rock?
It kind of looked like
Just like
grass
monofilament?
or something. Or maybe
Okay.
this fishing line.
Just from last night, I just got that in my mind.
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
That floating line.
That was a lot of line over there.
Yes, it was.
Interesting night.
Way more interesting not getting caught in it.
Yeah.
Please.
Just looking at it.
Yeah. There's plenty of beautiful corals there.
Yes, there was. That mosaic with the Lophelia we did, I love that one.
Yeah.
That was just an awesome peak. And here comes another thorny head, a bit bigger, and if you use the lasers, it looks like about 20, 25 centimeters.
So Tom, what is your trick for telling long spine and short spines apart in imagery?
When they hold up their spine. That's really the only definitive way. When we were working on the guide, we looked through thousands of pictures, and there was nothing that we could figure out that was definitive. Sometimes we'd find something that worked most of the time, but not all the time. So there was no specific pattern. And then down here, it's really size, because you're only going to get the super largest short spines at this depth. So everything else should be long spine. That's a technical term, the super largest. Do you have any tricks for that?
I don't. We have a lot of thorny head unident.
I understand that one.
I have some fun ones when you actually have the fish in your hand, but not from imagery.
And here comes our first coral. There's a mushroom coral, the red thing on the rock. The red round look like a mushroom.
I find amusing that a lot of the common names for these creatures are food related.
Scientists get hungry.
We were talking about that the other night in the wet lab, how we describe so many of these things by food we know.
Yeah, bubblegum corals. I don't know, sea pigs. I guess it's food for some people.
Sea bacon would be better.
Yeah, is there a sea bacon? Is that a thing?
Rebrand sea pigs to be sea bacon?
We could.
There's a seaweed, Oregon State University is developing a seaweed that tastes like bacon.
Oh.
To be an aquaculture product.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
What a way to get Americans on board.
Coming to a Whole Foods near you.
Or it goes to Burger King on the Impossible Burger. And they put Impossible
that's a
bacon.
good idea. Yes.
I wonder if they'd have to change the coloration of it to kind of a browner color for people to get on board with bacon. They associate a color with a taste and identity. It does look like line that.
It's actually a dulse, so it is brownish.
Oh, well, there you go.
That's clever. Did they
And seaweed,
transfect
when
a
you
whole
fry
new
it,
gene in it or something?
I don't know how how they've done it, but I'm assuming that most seaweed tastes salty anyway.
Right.
So it wouldn't be that much of a stretch to get the bacon thing going, especially if you say, here, taste this bacon flavored seaweed.
I'm into it.
That makes some good sushi too. Ooh. Bacon flavored
bacon
seaweed
sushi.
That would be
Philadelphia
good.
roll. I don't know.
It's American dream.
So he's just talking about fish names. Now it turns this into a food conversation.
Apologies.
The fish started it.
I don't know, it can
I
be
wonder
food can be a big thing on the ship, especially if your galley is questionable. Not Nautilus, but I've been on some ships where the only utensil or thing they use is the deep fryer.
Oh, yeah.
Marley would just jump. Jump ship.
Yeah,
another
it
mushroom coral.
can be a challenge when you're a lifelong vegetarian at sea.
Not when they come out with the bacon, the seaweed bacon.
Yeah,
there we go.
that sounds good.
And a snakehead eel pout.
I really do think that's like a very deceptive seagrass that's fallen down or something like this. Oh, some coil to it,
Yeah, just to scare you.
just to keep you on your toes.
Yeah, I keep on seeing seagrass. But it has the same schema.
Yeah.
It's like seeing a spider.
I don't expect much fishing gear at this depth and in this area, so possibly when we move up there might be some more.
What? Yeah. Yesterday I had so much stuff to get caught on.
Yes.
It's like just flat until these like oases of boulders. I thought that was so neat.
That was very
Like
neat.
little cities.
Sponge cities.
Sponge cities. Rockfish city.
There were a few fish there.
Daniel Geiger is saying that we're seeing Bathybembex snails, or Bathybembex bairdi snails, and they're fun because they're actually a really pretty light green when they're not covered in mud.
So green like the lasers or green like the seafloor?
Green like the lasers, like a sea foamy green.
Have you seen it?
The snails?
Yeah.
Yeah, we would get them on in the trawl survey a lot. But
Erica
here
has.
we're going over a bunch of them. They're covered in mud.
Oh, I see. That's a hard ID then.
So that one just looks like the sea floor instead of brighter green.
Definitely not as pretty. But they have more of a compacted spiral, whereas the Neptunia, which is another one that you see a lot at this depth, is a longer, stretched out, more like a whelk shaped snail.
Showier.
Pointier.
Pointier. Those rockfish are really tiny. View right now. And this is all like life history we're looking at. Like the adults of these similar long spine and short spine are similar sizes. Sure.
The adults of the short spine get much, much bigger.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But they do have a depth range where they overlap, and it's really hard to tell them apart.
I see.
Usually if we're really shallow, it's going to be a short spine, and if we're really deep, it's going to be a long spine, but anywhere in the middle, it's a thorny head unident. And there's a Death Star sponge.
Yeah, it's like the Sebastomus I think we were talking about last night, the ones with the rockfish with that are red with the 5 white dots. From video, it's very hard to tell them apart. Unless you're doing stuff up north where there's really only like 2 species.
Or if you're just
down here we have
confident.
10 species.
What is it, Tom? Greenish yellow instead of yellowish green?
Yeah, that kind of stuff. All depends on who described it and who you're talking to. And it is true, certain people will be more confident in their IDs than other people will. And that doesn't mean they're right. There's a short spine thorny head that just landed. You can see the spines. Oops.
Oh, yeah.
I put them down. There.
I feel they kick up sediment to hide themselves.
Didn't work.
It's like a magic act.
You do the same thing sometimes.
Hey. Whoa.
No. I mean, always on purpose.
How far have we come on this transect?
Yeah, we just have 50 meters left.
Roger that.
Cruising.
So this is the A team. We have to give Jess something hard to sample, though. She loves that.
Yeah.
Yesterday wasn't hard enough? No.
That was cool.
Yeah, that was good.
I gave her the Swiftia under the sponge and a vertical wall with rocks all around it.
That hammock grab she got with the closed
Yes.
jaws, that was incredible. I've never seen any pilot do that.
That was cool.
It's going to write up a methods paper on that and publish it.
The Jess grab.
That might be
The Jess
interpreted
hammock
wrong.
grab.
Don't they have different names for some of the like wrist techniques and stuff? Like the namori or
Yeah, I can't remember what the names are.
Seems silly to me.
So for the folks on the ship, are you guys staying on through the end right now, or can you get off like earlier? Like, are you waiting for the next legs, or are you guys getting off?
I think it depends. I think actually out of the control van, I'm the only one that's staying on till the end of the ROV season at least.
Have you been on the whole time?
I wasn't out for ONC, so I came about 2 weeks after ONC, so I've only been out for a month so far.
So that's why you're putting your time in after.
Yeah, exactly. The short season, but it's nice to be out for a little bit this year anyway.
You know, we are all excited that you guys are out here because all of our cruises got canceled. This is basically everybody's data for the West Coast.
Wow, yeah, that's a good point.
No pressure, guys.
Yeah. You know, I tried to give her pressure. She doesn't fold under pressure.
No, yeah, we got a lot in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
That's some debris. A
And,
pipe or something.
yeah.
I think it might just be the edge of the rock, even though it looks like debris.
Just looks banded in a weird way.
That's debris.
Huh.
Oh
Might
yeah,
cut off the
Kim's
end
on
of
the
my hose.
investigation.
There's gold doubloons in that.
Ooh, nice shot, Kim. Kind of looks like some pipe of some sort.
Yeah, nevertheless, hard to say what that was.
Yeah.
Quite different life on these rocks compared to when we were shallower yesterday.
Yeah, definitely.
A few anemones, a couple sponges.
Yeah, so I think that's the end of this transect.
Roger that.
Meters. Yeah, the ship's still moving. But.
Roger.
Yeah, and then should we just continue west on this, or is there any impetus to just? I think what Jess says about like when we head upslope, we're gonna want to keep kind of due north pretty much already for the visual, but.
Yeah, I think if we keep going west through this more yellow section, and then when we get right under the red, we can just head north.
Great, that sounds good.
Roger that. Roger. Sounds good.
Okay, Tom, it looks like you and I need to decide who's doing which paperwork here.
Oh, I just filled it in at the end of the time, that's all.
I know, and then you overwrote what I copied in there.
Is that faster? Okay. I will let you take it all over on the sheets.
Well, nope, I can. Do you want to split it? Do you want me to do both? What works for you? If you do the driving with HiPAC, I can do the sheets.
Sure, do whichever one you want to do, I will do the other one.
I will do.
You don't want to make it.
I don't. I'll do the dive recovery.
Okay. I'll do transect.
All right. And that's funny. Lizzie will wonder why they say completely different things.
Well, that's fine because
the same dive.
It's two different perspectives. When I was working with Chris, he didn't do any of it, so I did both. So just getting used to doing that now. We switch again.
Right. I've been doing both for most of my dives too. So
Yeah.
Just habit.
So switching's good because then we only have to do half as much.
We've got the 18 too.
Enemy. You also have the team that watches the videos after, so
right.
We're going to be more interested in getting the videos looking good. Yeah.
So there's been a lot of that light bulb sponge. And are you seeing something that looks like Faria also? Or is that just...
I wasn't sure if that was like the broken light bulb or what it was. There's a snakehead eel pound.
What is a light bulb sponge? I don't think I've heard of that one.
Well, when we come up to one, we'll show you. Basically, it's got little hard tubes and all together. I don't know why it's called a light bulb. I didn't name it.
Gotcha.
But it's basically a bunch of tubes together, but they're all hard.
Interesting.
Is that because they couldn't think of a food analogy?
They had to turn on the light bulb to see the food.
The light bulb sponge with the IKEA lamp sponge.
One fits into the other.
So the IKEA lamp is for shallower depths.
It's different.
I see a lot of potential IKEA lamps in the sponges, just depending on how contemporary your tastes are.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Like any of them could really be an IKEA lamp sponge.
Some of them, though, remind me of like a lamp from the 70s, like the ones that are that really dark yellow color. You know what I'm talking about? Looks like something straight out of like a 70s.
Yeah. When it's over,
I know very well. We had those.
Yeah.
Tanner crab.
Is there fisheries for those? The Tanner crab?
Up north.
There has been a test fishery up off of Oregon and Washington. I don't think anybody's actually fishing them commercially currently.
What are opilio? Aren't those Tanner crab like? Or no?
Yes. I believe they're another Chionicetes opilio. But I don't know if they're bigger or harder or more full of meat but the
Yep.
fishery is mainly up north in Alaska.
Yeah.
But I can tell you from experience, the tanner crabs are just as good.
Just not much to them.
I think the opilio get bigger.
That would make sense why there'd be a fishery then.
Right.
If you want, Ben, you can punch it up to like 70 meters if we're gonna keep going west for a
Yeah, I
while.
think we will. Raj, thanks. It's interesting to hear about the process of, like, my friend was working with the Jonah crab fishery, which was kind of a fishery that started like opportunistically before they really had any data on the actual population. So it's nice to hear that the tanner crab is getting a test fishery first. But it just sounds like there's a lot of baseline data that's needed to kind of have any idea of what's sustainable for them, especially with them having like non-continuous growth, how to deal with that.
Right, right. And I don't know honestly if it was more of a test for fishermen to test fishing methods and the market, or if it was also a lack of data on the management side that made it a test fishery.
I see.
But that's what they called it.
Does it taste like bacon?
Wow, crab that tastes like bacon, that would take off.
That's the holy grail.
Pretty much anything that tastes like bacon will sell very well.
Yeah, you just have to rebrand it because a rat that tastes like bacon, you can't really call it that.
Bacon
But
flavored
wouldn't they say
mammal.
it tastes like chicken?
Yeah, I heard like everything tastes like chicken, and it's kind of like a psychological phenomenon where that's kind of like an intermediary type of meat. And so it's just our standard for what meat tastes like because we eat it all the time. So it's like crocodile, it like tastes like really tough chicken. It's like, no, it doesn't. You know, it's just our representation of what meat tastes like. You know, we don't have much nuance beyond that. Like I imagine all insects kind of taste like lobster to us.
Very crunchy lobster.
Yeah.
If you eat it with the shell included.
I have to eat it with my eyes closed.
Be very difficult to deshell an insect.